Welcome back to the sanctuary where the glossy surface of fame is gently lifted to reveal the pulse beneath. You are watching Whispers of Turkish Stars, the corner of the internet that resists quick takes and chases after the weight of feeling. Tonight is not about premieres, ratings, or a dress that set a carpet on fire. Tonight is a descent into a fragile story shaped by family, silence, and the kind of loyalty that does not parade itself. It arrives when the lights are off and the heart is loudest. Tonight, we speak about Alp Navruz, the storm pressing on his private life, and the unexpected beam of steadiness appearing in the form of Alina Bos. Before we wade into these waters, anchor yourself to our community. Subscribe to the channel, tap that like button if you believe in careful storytelling, and, if you can, press join. Your support keeps this space honest and alive, the cameras rolling and the conversations thoughtful. Now, step with us into the shadowed corridors where a man measures every minute by the rhythm of a child's footsteps and the rustle of courtroom pages. In the bright, intoxicating world of Turkish show business, the spotlight can blind more than it reveals. It smooths over the aches of the soul and muffles the quiet tremor of uncertainty. Yet a hush has crept through production offices and late-night cafes, a whisper threading through conversations that would rather be about scripts or contracts. It's not a rumor about casting wars or a stunt for attention. It is something graver, that Alp is navigating a chapter that tests both the boundaries of law and the softest parts of a father's heart. From corners where legal language lives and from friends who know the man behind the photo calls, the murmur is consistent. Papers have been filed. A review has been requested. The arrangements surrounding Alp's child, those precious, carefully kept agreements that stitch together weekends, breakfasts, shared jokes, and bedtime stories, are reportedly being reconsidered. To outsiders, it might seem like administration, a shuffle of forms that will eventually settle. But for a parent, even a possible redrawing of time isn't just a change in schedule, it is an earthquake. The judge, as always, is bound to one principle only: the best interests of the child. A promise we respect, and yet a process that condemns parents to weeks and months of worry, where nothing is fixed and tomorrow is a fragile glass that might crack with a single decision. No verdict has been inked, no ruling sealed. But the air around Alp is tight with waiting, and those who see him between meetings say the calendar has begun to carve invisible lines in his days. The appointments multiply. Signatures blur, the fear shows up in the early hours, when homes are quiet and minds are loud. Imagine the weight, the terror that ordinary rituals will be rationed, that the jokes told over spilled cereal, the sudden afternoon detours to places only two people know, might be reduced to carefully measured hours declared in formal language under colder lights. Imagine fearing that the map of shared time will be reprinted with fewer landmarks, fewer Sundays, fewer chances to step into the role he is most protective of. And right there, in that storm where past choices echo into the present, another name rises, softly, steadily, almost defiantly. Alina Bos. Not as a headline chasing a hashtag or a strategic reunion arranged to generate clicks, but as a presence that seems to value what is private and vulnerable over what is viral. There was a time when the book of Alina and Alp looked closed, its pages pressed shut by different paths and deliberate focus on separate futures. But when the waters grew rough around him, something changed. Not theatrically. Not in neon. It was the sound of a message at a late hour. A phone call that lingered after words ran out. A silence that didn't feel empty because both people understood the language behind it. Those stationed at the edges of the scene. The quiet observers who know how to listen say Alina's support has been consistent without being performative. No cryptic posts. No staged photos. No public declarations designed to derail the narrative. Instead, simple gestures, conversations that make room for fear to exhale, brief pockets of time carved far away from microphones, cameras, and the hum of speculation. It's not about writing a new love story in bright letters. It's about steadying a person staring at an unknown horizon, giving him a corner where he can set down the armor of being unshakable and be allowed to simply breathe. Does the heart keep archives? Does it preserve sense, echoes, a map of steps that once moved in rhythm? Under the ashes of what ended, could there be an ember waiting for a well-timed gust to glow again? Or is this something quieter and sturdier than romance? A friendship forged from once great love, refined into compassion that doesn't vanish when credits roll? For Alp, this moment is a crucible. Those who know him describe a private man, fiercely protective of the boundary between work and home, unfailingly devoted to his child. In the silence stretching between court dates, when a single day can hold too much gravity for one person, one thread is mentioned again and again as priceless: Alina's measured, unfussy solidarity. In an age when former partners perform their grievances for the crowd, the dignity of Alina's silence feels almost radical. She lets space do its work. She checks in, not to control the story, but to listen. Private meetings happen, we are told, in places chosen not for the thrill of secrecy but for the mercy of privacy. Without the glitter and the noise, something durable emerges, two people conversing with care, refusing to label what doesn't need a label to be real. And the question lingers, as questions do. Where does this lead? The cynics insist that proximity born of crisis cannot last, that once the legal language calms and the adrenaline fades, so will this connection. The romantics argue the opposite, that hardship clarifies, that what is tempered by fire doesn't break, it transforms. The fact that Alina chooses silence over spectacle only sharpens the intrigue. Her restraint feels intentional, a promise to protect something delicate by not exposing it prematurely. Meanwhile, the internet hums. Comments bloom and collide. One side calls this maturity, two people who once loved each other proving that love can change shape without losing its tenderness. The other side whispers that hearts like these never go fully quiet, that if the calls stretch past midnight and the comfort heals the parts that don't show on camera, maybe the first spark still breathes, patient and stubborn beneath the surface. What can't be denied is that the names Alina Bos and Alp Navruz are being spoken together again, not because of a joint project or a press tour, but because of a test that exposes character. Alp, they say, has pulled inward. The crowds don't tempt him right now. Strategy talks over coffee blur into dawns that arrive too early. There are nights when the future narrows, when he imagines a calendar stripped of precious circles and feels the floor tilt. In that shifting world, the presence of someone who remembers his unphotographed self, the person outside the applause, is not a luxury. It is a rope thrown across a current. On the other side, the ex remains silent, as is her right. There are no official statements to chew on, no public disputes to track. The court moves with its own measured pace, and each delay braids a little more tension into the days ahead. But still, the center holds, the unyielding focus on what matters most, the child at the heart of it all. Whatever the decision, it will redraw schedules, reshape routines, and test everyone's willingness to act with grace. The solidarity flowing from Alina toward Alp does not strut, it sustains. It doesn't demand an audience, it respects a boundary. In a time addicted to immediate display, her quiet reminds us that not everything worth holding needs to be held up for approval. For now, both keep their words few and their dignity close. Cameras pan for clues. Fans read into gestures. The city listens for a gavel that will reframe the days. And perhaps that is why this story lodges in the chest. It isn't about scandal. It is about resilience in the face of uncertainty, about showing up when you could walk away, about placing care before spectacle. Another check-in. Another steady look. Another promise to be reachable even when the night is heavy. Small acts that hold back despair. Inside the whirlwind of discourse, a quieter truth survives. No matter what people say, no matter how loudly they say it, the mirror is the only audience that counts. Alp wakes, prepares, shows up, and repeats. Alina, in her own rhythm, chooses decency. Neither needs to announce it to make it real. To everyone watching, let your thoughts collect in the comments. Do you believe love can transform without vanishing? Is this the gentle afterglow of a great romance or the birth of a different kind of devotion? We read you, always. And if stories like this one matter to you, narratives told with care, with time, hit join. Your membership lets us keep the lights warm and the voices steady. Until the decision arrives, this remains a living story, the kind that breathes and shifts with every day that passes without an answer. Fans look for patterns. Blogs spin theories. But for the people inside it, the priority is not speculation, it is presence. A father measures his minutes, a friend refuses to perform compassion and instead practices it. When the ruling comes, a new chapter begins. Maybe it rewrites a calendar with gentleness. Maybe it requires a braver kind of patience. Whichever road opens, character will walk it. And there, at the edge of each day, someone will likely still ask the simplest question of all: are you okay? Do you need anything? The kind of question that changes very little in public and almost everything in private. For now, we stand watch, not with judgment, but with empathy. We will return when there is truth to share, and until then, we honor the silence that protects what's fragile. Thank you for spending this time in reflection with us. This has been a special presentation by Whispers of Turkish Stars. If this story touched you, like, subscribe, and set your notifications. And if you want to help us keep the standard high, join as your gateway to sustaining our mission. Take care of your loved ones, be gentle with your own heart, and remember, the truest loyalty rarely shouts. It whispers. Good night. And as the city's lights dim, there is one more thought we can't shake. Sometimes the bravest act is to remain steady while the storm rages, to offer a soft place to land without asking for credit. In the long hallways of uncertain days, steadiness becomes a language, and patience becomes proof. Alp walks those hallways now, step by measured step, and Alina meets him at the place where speaking is optional and being present is enough. That is not spectacle. That is grace. So we wait together. The court will speak when it is ready. When it does, we will be here, carrying the same promise we keep tonight, to tell this story with care, to keep the focus where it belongs, and to remember that beneath every headline is a human heartbeat. Whatever tomorrow brings, the truth that matters most will remain the same: love, in whatever form it takes, is work. And sometimes, when the world is too loud, the most loving work is to whisper, stay, and listen.